So I once spoke to somebody who was a professional in the field of foster care, and they told me that kids who come out of foster care always feel like their life is an emergency, like they're in fight or flight mode all the time. Like they feel like they're on the run all the time, they're never settled, they never quite feel like they're fitting where they are. Like they don't really have a sense of belonging, being a part of something, ever. And it even extends to kids who are adopted sometimes, but not always. But certainly kids who grow up in the system for their whole lives and they're bouncing around from one foster family to another, everything's an emergency. And she told me that one thing that foster and adopted kids have in common is that they're always searching. They're always looking. They're always trying to find something. They never quite feel like they're set, you know, like this is it. Like they have a good foundation, like this is where I can start from all the time for everything that I do. I know that this right here is my safe place. That's pretty deep when you think about it. Like that's a lot of anxiety, that's a lot of energy. That's going to cause you to probably not be able to sleep very well at night. It's going to cause you to have problems focusing, and maybe it's going to cause people to have ADD a lot. It's going to be hard for people to study, to learn things, to absorb, to retain. It's going to be difficult because you never quite feel truly connected to anything. And as a result, as you get older, if you don't find things in your life that compensate for that, you start to overcompensate, and then you're not a very good partner. Like you're always asking for reassurance in some kind of way. Even though you might not be doing it with your words, you're doing it with your actions, with the way you interact with people all the time, whether it be in work or relationships or whatever, just the way you deal with people. Everything is an emergency. I think that's pretty deep. The other thing she told me is that because kids don't grow up with who they understand they actually came from physically, biologically, like through blood, they're constantly looking for something to emulate or somebody to emulate. Like, and they generally or oftentimes reject the people who raised them. Now, I know in my case, I definitely did that. And as I got older, I realized it was misguided, you know? And in fact, I'm somebody who believes that you should be emulating yourself. You know, you should be, you know, taking in everything around you and learning and growing and evolving and, you know, seeing what resonates with you and what makes you feel something, and then you go in that direction. You know, you start to learn what you're good at. You know, maybe you can sing, maybe you're a good engineer, maybe you're a good listener, you can be a therapist, you know, maybe you like numbers, you know, maybe you're an actor, maybe you make watches, maybe you like to do meticulous work with your hands, maybe you're a contractor and you like to delegate to other people. Who knows? But when you're not biologically, physically from the people who raise you, you tend to shy away from what they do because you feel like that's not me. And I don't know, sometimes I guess you could lose good opportunities like that. But my point is, you feel solitary. This is what I've learned. You feel alone in many cases, all by yourself. So as far as the searching part, I've always felt like I was searching for my biological mother and my biological father. And in fact, when I was young, I was told that I was being ungrateful, disrespectful, hurtful, selfish, all the things. Not by my adoptive parents. And in fact, my mother, when she found out that I wanted to search for my biological mother, she offered to help me. But from other people, that's what I was told. Like, how could you? You know, these people saved your life. And I have always felt like they did save my life. That's how I personally have always felt. But that has nothing to do with anything. Because what I was looking for is mine. It's not theirs. It's not anybody's but mine. I'm looking for what everybody else has. You know, the people who they know they look like, they walk like, they kind of talk like, they have the same mannerisms, maybe the same color hair, or maybe in my case they're bald. You know, it's like it's something that they have a starting line, you know? They have a starting place, a safe place. I said it before, I said it again. And so I've been very fortunate. I used my art for this, you know, and for the most of the beginning of my life, I didn't have that, you know, like I was always a musician, but I didn't really get into theater, spoken word, you know, art with dialogue, art with, you know, and I'm not talking about songs, I'm talking about long form stories and exploration, history type of expression. I've often told people that theater has saved my life because it gave me a place to take all this anxiety and put it into something that I can try to make as beautiful as possible. Like I can try to make my life magnificent in this work and share it with people, you know? That's the biggest part of it for me. I get to share it. And so this is the end for me. This is the third part of a trilogy, the final part, the part about my biological father, because most people talk about mothers. It's always about the mother. And so I found all the information about my biological mother, but I don't know anything about my biological father. And in fact, I have never found anybody in my life, even since I've been searching, that knows anything, that is even remotely connected to my biological father. And like I said in my last video, I jumped to some pretty fucked up conclusions that I have released since. And now I'm dealing with it in a completely different way. And I'm going to try to create the most beautiful art that I can possibly create. As Banksy said, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. The best art that I have ever created in my life has always been centered around the things that disturb me the most, that hurt me the most, that confuse me the most, that give me the most pain. Everything that I've created is based on that. As a matter of fact, one of my directors, Stephen Bishop Seeley, when I stopped doing Broke Wide Open after 6 years, which was my first play, and he directed it. I mean, he did so much. He dramaturged it. He taught me how to be a theater artist. He was like a mentor to me that I could never repay. And after that play closed, with an amazing off-Broadway run, he said to me, "Can Rock Wilk create being happy?" He said, what did you get out of this process? Did you get relief? Do you feel better? And if you do, can you still write? Can you still make art? And so, you know, we thought that was kind of funny at first, but then I thought about it and I was like, I don't know. But you know what? I don't think it really matters. I think you write about what resonates with you, what you feel you need to get out of your body, what you feel compelled to share and explore. And so that's what I do. You know, somebody once said, a reviewer actually, referred to me as a disruptive artist. And I took that like a badge of honor because I think that's the greatest description of my work. I am indeed trying to disrupt the normal narrative, you know, normal in quotes, like what most people think, what most people believe. You know, like for example, I'll use adoption as an example. You know, most people when they hear about an adoption, they're like, oh, the biological mother did the right thing. She couldn't take care of the child. She gave it up for a better life. And in fact, I've learned that probably over 90% of the time, that is not the case. And I'm not going to go through all of that right here, but I'm just saying, I am here, whether it be talking about my life or about racism and homophobia and misogyny and xenophobia and all the things that I like to disrupt and stop people and make them think about their own lives and their own approach and their own perceptions and how they're living their lives, how they're interacting with other people. I want to take something that I have created and offer it to people as something magical that they can receive, but something that shakes them up a little bit, that makes them feel how I've kind of always felt, like not so grounded, you know, not so not so foundational, you know, kind of always on my toes. I walk on my toes. I mean, I'm trying to put people in that same position because at the end of the day, I personally feel like that's a good thing. Because I think that really is a place of growth. Because if you just sit there, you're just going to die. You know, you're just going to crumble. You're not going to be able to deal with it. You have to move. You have to move through it. You have to move with it. You have to accept it. You have to explore it. You have to work with it, and you have to move through it to the next place. And that's, in my opinion, a life well lived. And so that's what I'm always trying to do. To make my life, through sharing with other people, using the gifts that I have, and not taking them for granted ever. Not even for 1 minute of one day. That's what I'm trying to do. To share all of that. To disrupt you in a good way. So my life becomes one that is well lived.